Hi, Sideliners. I'm your host, Vicky Duvall. Today we have a really special guest and perhaps one of my favorite coaches I've ever worked with. Glenn Weiner played on tour himself and reached a career high ranking of 119 in the world. After his playing days, he started coaching and has worked with some amazing talents, including myself. I'm just kidding. Including Kei Nishikori and Michael Moe. He was formerly head of the pro division at IMG Academy and is now the co-director at Albany Tennis Academy in the beautiful Bahamas. And yes, we are still grieving his departure. Glenn, it's so great to see you. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Great to see you. Thanks for having me.
I imagine you're still getting somewhat adjusted to life in paradise. And I mean, uprooting your whole life to a new country is already difficult, but you also had the added stress of moving during COVID, which I can't imagine. But I'm just out here living vicariously through you, through your pictures of the beach and your view. How's life been in the Bahamas so far?
Well, I think everyone always knows that the life we put on Facebook or Instagram, life seems perfect. It is wonderful here, but obviously there have been challenges, like you said, traveling during COVID. So when we first came down, quarantined for 2 weeks, not sure how we're going to get food. Everything over here because of COVID is slower. For example, like getting a driver's license or getting a license plate for a car. So doing a lot of those little things was difficult, and especially when you're in a new place. We have a new family. I have a daughter, brought the dog and the wife. I'm also a creature of habit. So my routine was at IMG. I've been there for 28 years. So moving and changing my life definitely brought challenges, but it is a beautiful place here, and we are happy, very happy.
Yeah, there are definitely worse places to be. I always find it interesting when I travel to, I guess, kind of like the islands. Anywhere in the islands feels like a more relaxed lifestyle and like just easier kind of change of pace. Do you feel that, or are you still kind of getting settled?
It does have that feeling, but this place here is a pretty important place, just as far as it's definitely for the members here and for the people, it is that wonderful lifestyle, but I must perform and make things good. So I definitely don't feel like I'm at a chill place where nobody cares what I do. That's for sure.
I'm really intrigued about the food you've been eating because I don't know, anytime someone moves to a new place or goes somewhere, I always want to know, like, what's the best thing they've had so far? So what's kind of like your favorite meal or your favorite any sort of food you've had so far?
Well, what's really cool about this place is, so this is a family resort, but it's not a hotel. It's a place to live. Okay. And so what they've done is they've brought chefs and food styles from all over the world because the people live here, maybe not full time, maybe some of the year, some of them all year. And you've kind of got to give them, what they want. So we have a lot of different food styles, and they kind of have a cool, theme. It's, for example, Sunday night is, and the restaurant has normal food, but it's fried chicken out of the bag night. And so we just look forward to some of these cool nights where it's a routine, where I'm getting kind of the same thing, but it's either once a week or once every couple of weeks. But they've got Indian nights on Thursday. They've got pizza nights. They've got, like I said, chicken in the bag. They've got sushi nights on Friday. And there's a few restaurants here in the resort. So we get a good mix of everything. The stuff I've loved is going to the pool and having a pizza and burger, and the vanilla milkshake. Unbelievable. They have a marshmallow in there that's kind of burnt a little bit. They have, the cone in there in that milkshake. Then they have sprinkles. And then the milkshake itself is to die for. So that's something we love doing. Just going to the pool, which is also connected to the beach, and kind of misbehaving and eating bad food.
I was like, am I completely mistaken, or are you lactose intolerant?
I eat everything all the time.
Maybe that was someone else. I'm getting you confused with someone else. You have a different position now at Albany Academy and a little bit more on your plate compared to your time managing the pros at IMG. What are some of your new duties now at that academy?
Yeah, so I'm co-director on the academy side, where there's a tennis academy. Right now we have 7 players there. And so for that, I'm working in the afternoons, basically 1:30 to 5:30. And, we're developing high performance, giving the whole development sheet, going through fitness. It's a great facility. We've got all the pieces in place, but I'm now director on the racket club side. And so that is a whole new bunch of responsibilities that I haven't done too much in my life. And, that's creating events for the members. That is also just teaching privates, which keeps me busy enough on the court. Making sure the pro shop has the clothes or the equipment, tennis nets, ordering that. So a lot of managerial stuff. Also, it's a racket club and paddle or padel, however you describe it. It's huge here. And I haven't worked at all in that. So I've had to learn the sport. I've had to learn. We have 3 courts. So when we have an event, a lot of the members love padel. So we've got to be able to organize an event that works with only 3 courts. So, got to organize it very well in advance. We've got to communicate with the members. So a lot of new responsibilities and challenges, but I've learned from mistakes and I'm continuing to try to improve that. And it's a great challenge. So something new, something to grow from.
Maybe I'm just not cultured. I've literally never heard it being said padel. What?
Yes. So a lot of Spanish. It originated, I'm not saying the sport originated in Spain, but a lot of Spaniards are top in that sport, and it's a European sport that's moved over to the U.S. And so in Europe, especially in Spain, they say padel. In the U.S., it's more paddle.
Yeah, I feel like probably we butcher.
Bahamas, you can use both, I guess.
Americans probably butcher a couple of things anyway. So pivoting a little bit more to tennis now, you turned pro at 18 years old. And I know we talked about how you spent some chunks of your career traveling alone. And as someone who occasionally travels alone to tournaments, I know how hard it is. And I know there are so many challenges that come with that. Take us through your career a little bit and also how you manage traveling alone at times.
Yeah, looking back, I would have changed the way I did it and approached it. I probably would have. So I played for 12 years. And if you had said, well, Glenn, if you hired a coach and risked only being able to afford 6 years, would you do it? And I would say yes. So traveling alone is difficult. It's, as you know, a very emotional sport. When you lose, if you feel terrible, it could be the end of the world. There's a lot of anxiety. It's difficult to stay motivated when you're not sure how to improve or how to fix things. And so traveling alone, it's possible. And obviously sometimes it's necessary for a lot of pro players, but it's not something I would recommend. And looking back, I would have gotten a coach to answer that question. My pro career, I'm very glad that I got to play for 12 years, met a lot of wonderful people. It's helped me for the rest of my life. And I think every single tennis player or competitor would say I could have done better, and especially, yeah, if you say my career high was 119 as a junior, I dreamed of being number 1 in the world. So didn't reach my goals, but a lot to appreciate on that journey.
Yeah, and I think, obviously for a lot of players too, like you said, if the financials aren't there or there's just some factors that are there that make a player not have the resources available to do that. And it's really unfortunate. Tennis is a tough sport in that aspect. You have to have the resources to kind of reinvest in yourself. And for a lot of players, it's just hard. And like you mentioned, you played on tour for 12 years and got pretty close to top 100. And I think in recent years, the technology has gotten a lot better. And we've seen a huge increase in the physicality as well as the mental aspect of the sport on the men and women's side. I just want to ask this because I find it kind of interesting. How did you feel like the game evolved during your personal years on tour?
Oh, it's evolved a lot. You know, string and racket technology. I'd say the string technology, but the game has slowed down. Uh, I think we could say a lot of the way the game was played in the past can't be done. You know, even if you look at someone like Sampras and Agassi, uh, Sampras would try to break once and then not necessarily try to break again. He would just serve big, huge second serves and hold and kind of go through it that way. Agassi would rip returns and you could either ace him or he would, you know, similar thing. He was one of the best returners, obviously, ever, but more of an aggressive return and not so much caring about getting balls back. That wouldn't work today. The game has slowed down. The athletes are better. The strings now allow you to get a ton of balls back. And also back in my day, 30, 31, everyone was thinking of retiring. Agassi was kind of the first one who lengthened that out. But now, you know, we're looking, Roger's been injured this year, but we're looking at Roger, Rafa, and Djokovic dominating. And you can see that they're still going to dominate in their 30s a lot. And like you said, I think the science behind being in better shape and also just the ability to now be an athlete and get a ton of balls back, it's changed the game in a big way.
I think it's so obviously I'm a huge Roger fan, so anytime the retirement question is thrown at him, I love when he just like brushes it behind him. But obviously it's going to be an inevitable conversation for someone like him. How long do you think those guys still have on tour? Someone like, when I look at Novak and he's just so flexible, he's so like nimble on the court, and I can't imagine that he's going to stop anytime soon. But kind of for those big three, I want to put Murray in there as well, but I think obviously he's still building back. For the guys like the big three, how long do you think they still have in the sport?
Yeah, I mean, I think Novak, it seems like he's going to still have a long career. He's had a little bit of elbow and shoulder issues, so that would be the only thing that kind of sets him back, because I see Roger and Rafa stopping before him. So that kind of knocks off two of the big three that would, keep all this intense pressure on Novak. So obviously there's new guys that are going to come up and every match is difficult, but I see Novak's career still going for quite a while. You never know. I think Roger retires first, then Rafa a couple years after or a few years after, and Novak will be around for a bit.
Yeah, I wonder if it's clear that Roger loves the game, and I think that's why he's still playing. But I almost wonder, too, if in the back of his mind he's trying as much as he can to hold on to his record for the slams. I mean, those guys are neck to neck, so I imagine that's a bit of a factor as well. As a coach, I think what I appreciated so much about you and your character is your calm demeanor and your just overall positive, good vibes on the court. Is that demeanor something you had throughout your pro career? Is that something that was cultivated a little bit later on in your coaching years?
I would say, it's something I've always had, but it's definitely been more advantageous as a coach. I would also like to say that the surface may look calm. Underneath, I certainly have the same emotions as everyone else, whether it's anxiety, whether it's fear, whether it's anger. I'm not someone, and many times I've questioned, hey, should I be tougher? Because sometimes you want to get your message through. But I do believe in having a good relationship with the player, doing things the right way. Sometimes you do need to be stern, but I'm a positive person and I know that I'm doing this not for me. This is for someone else. So I've never had an ego. I don't mind if I'm a bad coach, a good coach. If I'm good enough and you trust in me, then this is for you. So I've still always had that attitude. So I'm not going to take my anger out just because I'm angry. There better be a good reason behind it, whether it's to teach you something or that effect. So, but as a player, I was calm, but underneath, I didn't believe in myself. Looking back, and sometimes obviously during my career realizing that. So I needed to be mentally tougher as a player. As a coach, I need to be mentally tough for my player, but he or she is the one who's, it's on them to perform. So I just need to keep trying to give them the best info for them to perform.
I'm really fortunate I haven't seen your temper yet. I guess whatever I did wasn't quite enough to throw you over the edge. So I love that.
Ask Mike.
He would have a different answer for sure.
No, and it was a funny story. I'll make this very short, but my wife got upset with him a few times. Not about tennis, just where I'm very close with Michael. So we always hung out a lot, and there were a couple instances, and I won't get into why. It was a very small reason, but long story short, we were all hanging out, and I was like, you see, Michael, like, my wife can be tough and you'll be scared of her, not like me, who's always so nice. And he goes, actually, you scare me way more than Tatiana. And I was like, what? How? I'm nice. And he's like, yes, you are. But when you get mad, like, you never get mad, ever. So when you get mad, I know that I've really, really messed up. And it is frightening because it's not like a shouting thing, but I know that you are furious because this is like, it's once every 3 or 5 years. So I just never want to see that.
Oh my God, Michael. Oh my gosh. Okay, we're not going to get into why, but that's hilarious. It's always the calmest people that get the most mad, huh, Glenny?
Like, I could understand that Michael was learning and growing and maturing. So when he messes up, I don't, we can talk about it. I don't need to get mad when, and they weren't big things and it wasn't but yes, it was something for me to get mad about, and just to really, there's some boundaries that you put in place and so that the player knows. Again, they weren't big deals, but they were I have very few boundaries. And it was one boundary that he came close to. And I just said, hey, this is the one thing that, no, we're not going to, and so he was like, okay, gotcha.
It takes the one time. Obviously, one of the most important things for a solid coach-player foundation is understanding the different personalities. And I think you touched a bit on that kind of in your previous answers. That's so important to feel the connection because if, you're going to be working with the person day in, day out, there has to be a good foundation there. I know you've worked mostly with men on the tour, but with the few women that you've worked with, do you feel like your approach is different when you're working with men versus women?
For the most part, no. I, obviously there are differences in gender and it's an individual sport. And, if you look at the men's tour, they're a little bit more friendly with each other off the court. Although a lot of the women I've worked with are actually great friends off the court and we've hung out. So I don't want to label it that way. It's still more individual. So some people, I'm still going to be the same, but I will adjust to that person. If I've coached some people, and you know me, I joke around a lot, and sometimes my humor can be a little sarcastic or a little biting. And a couple people I've worked with, men even, were just like, and I could tell that's it. I need to stop that and not do it as much. And then others are like, ooh, I like it, So for the most part, I try not to change my major philosophy, but I definitely will go by the individual and tweak here and there. I remember I was with one female who I didn't talk enough to, and she got upset with. And I kind of said to her, I said, I can keep talking, but after you missed, you actually said why you missed, so you knew it. So why do I need to tell you that? I get it. You want the reinforcement. You want to know that a coach is coaching you, but you're out here, you're playing the match on your own. Like, this is a practice and I can help you, but when you play the match, I'm not going to be able to say it. So you figured it out. You need to keep figuring it out. I will help you a little bit more. I get it. But also know that there are some times and some reasons why I won't talk. So
you actually came up in conversation today at practice. Maddie Bringle and obviously every once in a while we throw your name in the conversation, but Maddie was like, man, I really miss Glenn's dad jokes. No one delivers it like him. And I was like, yes. I was like, can we phone him just to hear a dad joke now?
So for everyone listening or watching, I'll do like 50 jokes. 49 of them are bombs, but one hits, you know? And everyone knows this. So it's amazing when it hits and everyone loves it, and then 49 go by. But I'm willing to deal, you know, with the failure in order to get that one that actually works.
I just love that every time you say a joke too, especially when you were at IMG, you just knew. Like when you looked at our faces, you were like, oh, no, today's not my day.
Not my day today.
All right, let's focus a little bit back to tennis. So you worked with Kei Nishikori during his kind of more formative years in his career, and he's been ranked as high as number 4 in the world, obviously an incredible talent.
Yep.
What are some of the things that you think set someone apart in the caliber of Kei Nishikori versus someone maybe ranked outside the top 100?
Yeah, Kei is as special as it gets, and I can say that, you know, about a lot of athletes, but this one I really mean it. Everything about him kind of sets him apart if I think about it, like his ability to handle adversity, his ability to learn something new and figure it out, his ability to execute on something even if it's not fundamentally correct. Like, you know, in his younger years, did he have the perfect volley grip? No, but the way he moves and comes into the net and volleys, he never misses it. So, you know, his ability to execute, and he has kind of that quiet demeanor, and people might not think, you know, that he's intense enough just because he's kind of a little more quiet, but everything about him is a winner. So, and just some examples, like, I don't know if it's that he hated to lose or that he just felt he needed to win. But for 3 years that I was with him, there was one match where he kind of gave up. And it was still an unbelievable match that I think he lost 6-3 or 6-4 in the third. But I realized, I saw it when he went down a break in the third. And we were in Turkey at a challenger. So not like a glamour place. And the other person was playing lights out. And he kind of just, that was the only match where I saw him kind of not believe that he was going to come back and win. And saying that, I can tell you so many matches when he lost the first set 6-1 to a really good player. And we're talking like people like a James Blake, or, you know, in finals or in first rounds, doesn't matter. One thing about him was he would always, you could see it, physically see him try to do something different, whether it was be more intense, change his game plan. He would usually start out, kind of hit a hard second serve return and come in, and he might even lose the game. But as soon as that happened, I was like, he is thinking, he's trying to figure out a way to win. He wants to win, you know? And I think he just has this fire inside of him. And just quickly, 2 more things, his ball striking ability, amazing. But you put that with that fire that he has, and also his ability to handle adversity, which is amazing. I think he is one of the few players who's usually a top 5 player who gets injured every year and misses 2 to 3 months of a big chunk, like misses Grand Slams, misses Miami and Indian Wells. Every year he's missed a big chunk of tennis and been able to consistently keep his ranking in the top 10. I think except for obviously this year, maybe last because of COVID. But even the year he finaled the US Open, he was sitting on a chair 1 week before the US Open, hitting Fed ball just in case his leg was going to be okay to play. So his ability to not have training and go to a Grand Slam and get to the final, you know, these are the things that set him apart. Obviously, when I worked with him, he didn't have those injuries at the beginning, and just his ball striking and his ability to improve and his way to figure out a way to win was at another level.
Yeah, I think I just did a podcast with Dr. Duncan, who's works on the mental side at IMG Academy, and I think that was a big topic of the conversation as well. Obviously, you know, especially nowadays, everybody knows how to hit the ball. You know, everybody knows how to play well. There's kind of, the gap is shrinking as far as ability and, you know, what you're able to do on the court. So I think the mental side plays an even bigger factor these days. And I think, you know, going back to what you said about Kei, that mindset, I feel like, is what really sets the people apart. And if you could pick routines or mindset of pros that you've seen at the highest levels, what are some of the commonalities that you've seen amongst the pros at the top?
Yep. And also note, just quickly, Kei was not this machine. You know, he would go through stretches where he's like, I'm not confident. I don't feel good. Like, he's a normal human being, but he's able to handle it, get through it maybe quicker. And still, when the event happens, maybe he'll have a couple bad results, but he was able to turn it around. I think, I'm going to use the word consistency with these top players. Like, their routines are consistent. The whole category of consistency. Their ability to be consistent in their match play. When they're not playing as well, they're able to win, and keep themselves in the tournament more consistently. They're consistent with their workout routines, making sure that they're not getting injured. Yes, I know Kei got injured, but in general, these higher ranked players are finding a way to be healthier more consistently. Their mental belief and their mental fire more consistent throughout the year. Their shot making ability probably more consistent, but just everything, their athletic ability, mental ability, everything is more consistent. And we've talked about it a lot. I've seen it in other sports, like they talked about a basketball player who, wow, you can see they've got the skills, and then you hear the coach say they just need to be more consistent night in and night out. They'll play 2 or 3 amazing games, and then suddenly they don't show up. And even, myself, I had some wins against some really great players, but, I can count them on 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 hands. Like, it wasn't consistent enough. Like, how come you can do it sometimes, but not all the time? So I would say that consistency is a huge word for me.
Yeah, and obviously, like you said, players go in and out of confidence. And I know for me, you've seen my huge dips, especially in regards to my body and having fears about my injuries and stuff like that. So obviously, kind of going back to your experiences as a player when you felt those moments, and you could probably relate on an even deeper level as having gone through those experiences yourself. Do you kind of tap into that when you're coaching somebody through, moments of doubt or moments of uncertainty?
Yeah, I would say that has helped me a lot as a coach, is realizing all of my failures and how I didn't, correct them in time or learn from them or face that adversity. And I can kind of take that and try and use it to help the players that I work with. And it would probably be fair to say, I never got to the quarters or better of a Grand Slam. So if I'm with a player who's starting to do that, maybe they should find a coach who's won a Grand Slam so that they can get advice in that aspect. But yeah, and another thing with these top players, kind of, talking about you, I mean, you were on the biggest stage, and injuries kind of, they derail that momentum big time, and I had injuries. I had shoulder surgery at 2021, right when I thought I was going to start playing better. Obviously, we don't use those as excuses, but they are momentum breakers, and we've got to try to find a way to get right back as quick as we can and have that belief. But definitely the experiences I had as a player have helped me to try and explain to the kids that I work with how to overcome these problems, and how to, the main thing is, can we learn from them? Can we learn from these mistakes or these problems and find that improvement?
You have a beautiful baby daughter now, and I don't know if more kids are on the way, but just in case, do you think you're going to put your daughter or maybe your future kids in tennis?
Well, I'm 44, so obviously I would love my daughter to have a sister or brother, but I think we're going to stay at one. You never know that. But whatever my daughter wants to do and whatever she's passionate about, she will do. But she will be involved in tennis. I'm hoping golf. Her mother and I, we play tennis, we play golf. So if she's going to want to hang out with her parents, she's going to be a tennis player and or golfer. And I know Tati wants to have her on the tennis court. So yeah, she'll learn tennis, and if she loves it, she's got parents who played it and coached it, so she'll have a great start to kind of getting to pursue it. If she wants to be a tennis player, wonderful. If she wants to be a golfer, wonderful. If she wants to be a piano player, wonderful. But she will be involved in tennis because we are, and that's what we do as a family. My mom plays, my stepdad plays, So that will be family activity for her.
And she's going to have the absolute best coach in the world. So hopefully she likes tennis and picks it up.
You know what? It's going to be a great mix because my wife is Russian. So she's going to get a little kind of that Russian, kind of fight or attitude. And then she's going to kind of have Glenn be nice and smooth and loving and move your feet.
She's going to have the best of both worlds. Oh my gosh, I love that. Yeah. My final question, and maybe the most important question of this interview, I'm kidding. I plan on being in the final rounds of a Grand Slam one day. If that day comes, will I look up and see you in my box?
If you invite me to come, I'm coming 100%.
Yes.
100.
Oh my gosh. Hopefully it's Wimbledon. Hopefully Wimbledon. Yeah. I mean, I'll take anyone, but hopefully Wimbledon.
Of course I'm coming. Yes.
Oh my gosh. Glenny, thank you so much for doing this episode. I appreciate your time so much.
Thank you. And anytime. I'm always here for you.
Thank you. And thank you, Sideliners, for tuning in to another episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you had a good time. And I will catch you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.